Hi, everybody. Before we get started, I'm Nancy Ann from Divine Guidance with Nancy Ann. But before we get started, I just wanted to remind you that it's for free. But if you can do me a favor, if my videos are resonating with you, can you please remember to click on the subscribe button and also the little bell, and then you'll get notified every time I put a video out. Also, if you don't mind, to click on the like button. That does help my channel reach other people that maybe what I'm sharing will help, or I'm hoping they'll help. And also, if you can put little hearts or smiley faces in the comments. I know sometimes it's hard to do comments. It took me a long time before I mustered up the nerve to put in, what I was feeling and what I want. I wanted to say thank you for sharing and all that. But if you can remember to please subscribe, like, little hearts in the comments, I would greatly appreciate it. Okay, on with the show. Thanks. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Divine Guidance with Nancy Ann. Today, I'm going to do answering your questions. So I received I think it was 4 emails with questions that they wanted to be answered. They didn't feel comfortable writing them in the comments, and I understand that. So if anybody has questions that they want answered, you can email me at nancyreikihealer@gmail.com, and I'll come on and I'll answer your questions. Okay? And the same thing with the comments. If you feel comfortable, feel free to ask any questions in the comments. But these questions actually pertain to my last video on the truth about growing up psychic. And I want to know how you're all doing. So I hope everybody's doing well. And you can answer me in the comments and let me know how you're feeling getting through all these different energies, the different light codes coming in. Some of you might be experiencing communication with your angels, with archangels, with Mary, Jesus, Mary Magdalene. She's been coming through, and other beings, other beautiful beings of love and light are coming through to me. And I see their colors when they come through. It's like Mary, when she comes in a ball of light, she's blue and white. This blue is a different color blue, but it's blue and like a light white, like a translucent white when they're coming. So I had that experience actually last night. So yeah, so the more you're going within and meditating and centering yourself and breathing into your heart and living from your heart, the more and more you're opening up to um, going up into the next um, like realm. So it's pretty cool. So you have these gifts. So keep doing what you're doing, and all these beautiful things start happening. But to get on with the questions, so I will read. Some of these kind of mean the same thing, but I'll go through them anyway, because I do respect that you asked me these questions, and I do appreciate these questions. So let's see. I'm not going to read the whole thing because I had to handwrite it because I don't have a printer that works right now. So I had to handwrite everything. So I got to read my own handwriting there. So with your experiences, have you ever encountered evil or negative energy type things, like in people's houses and stuff? So yes, actually, when I was writing this from the email, I remembered a time when I actually well, a person from the Catholic Church that I was called to go in and teach more about Jesus. But anyway, a lady there had come to me and asked me to go to her neighbor's house, who only lived like three or four houses down from that church. And she said she was having like all this negativity and all these problems. So I said, well, yeah, I mean, I'll come and give a blessing. I mean, I know how to bless a house, but if it's too bad, I always believe you should call a deacon or a priest and so forth. But So I went. I went. My daughter actually came. My oldest daughter, Kristen, came with me. And I said to her, if I feel anything dark and too deep like that, I want you to leave. And she said, Mom, I'm not afraid. I said, it's not about being afraid. It's that you don't understand that part, but I'll explain it later. I want you to leave that house. So we get there, I pull up and I knock on the door, and the lady opened the door and greeted my daughter and I. And when she opened the door, to the right, there was a staircase going upstairs. And then inside the door was like her living room, like the main living room or the front area living room. It was an older house. It probably was built around the 1700s or 1800s, the latest. So I come in, but I see this man on the steps in a plaid shirt and jeans. He had like a beard, dark hair, and he's giving me a dirty look. Like he did not want me there. And I felt it. But I also felt like very negative energy. Didn't sit right with me. So I kind of tapped my daughter and I said, you might have to go to the car. So I said to the lady, and the man turned around after staring at me, trying to stare me down. And I'm just staring at him like, you don't want me here? Like, getting that vibe. He turns around and goes up the stairs. So I turned to the woman and I said, honey, was that your husband that just went up the stairs? And she looked at me like, what? And the lady that I knew looks at me and she goes, her husband's not here. It was just her, my friend, the lady that asked me to come, and the lady that owned the house, son. So I looked at all three of them. I looked back at the lady and I said, well, that man that was just here, there's nobody else here in this house because that man was on the steps and I don't think he wants me here. So she said, ma'am, my husband's a truck driver. He's hundreds, thousands of miles away from here and he won't be home for another 2 weeks. So she said, what did he look like? So I described him to the T of what he looked like. And she just froze. And I said, are you okay? And she said, no, you just described my husband to the T. And then the lady that I knew, she says, yeah, that's creepy. And I said, yeah, that's very creepy. And I said, negativity was coming from him like darkness. And she goes, that wasn't my husband though, but you described him. So I said, listen, you might have to call a priest to come in here. And I said, I have my cross with me. I have holy water with me. I had a little Bible, but I always called in God's light for protection and Archangel Michael. So they were already surrounding me and my daughter, and then I asked them to enter the house with me. That's probably why that thing appeared, because, the light was coming in, and he was darkness. So she says, I don't understand how you saw my husband and I said, honey, I have to tell you something. The darkness and the evil that I'm feeling, that wasn't your husband. He let me think he was your husband. I said, that could be a demon or something in this house. I said, does anybody do drugs in this house or alcoholism? Because a lot of that stuff can create darkness in your house that can form into things that your own mind believes. So in other words, if you grew up being told there's a devil, there's a hell, there's demons, there's gremlins, scary things, that's in your mind. You can create that without even knowing it. Okay? So with that, I'm drawn to this door. Now, I've never been to this house. And I said, I need to walk this way. And then I said, this door to my right, I said, don't ever go down there. And she just looked, I said, that's where it's coming from. That dark, evil energy is coming from down there. I don't know what's down there, but don't go down there. And I'm recommending you call the church up the street and have the priest come. They will come here and give your house a exorcism or something, because this is big. This is why you're going through all this chaotic stuff. All this negative stuff was in this lady's life out of nowhere, right? So then I start to go into another room, and then I heard the words, get out. Well, I don't play with that stuff. So I said to her, listen, I'm going to say a quick prayer. We're going to stand in the circle. By now, though, I had told my daughter to go to the car. I didn't want nothing attacking her or coming home with her or anything. I had her shielded, I had her protected, and I wanted to make sure she stayed that way. So now she's been in the car. So I held the hands of the lady, the one that owned the house, and her child. And I said a nice prayer. I called in Mary, Jesus, Archangel Michael, and the God's healing light. And I said, and this is all I can do for you except tell you to light a candle. I gave her my holy water. I said, put this out in a clear glass bowl. And that's all I'm being shown. And for you to call the priest that you need like an exorcism in this house. Um, I said, and that's all I can do. And she thanked me. She wanted to pay me. And I was like, no, no, no. I couldn't wait to get out of there. So to answer your question, that was one experience that I had as an adult. And I didn't like it. I don't like when I feel or see those things. So that was one experience. Let me see. I think I can read it. Can you feel energy, negative energy, or spirits when you go into a new home, an old home, a barn, or land, or stores, or just anyone's house? And how do you deal with it? Okay, so let me just, can you, yeah, so wherever I go, it doesn't matter. I could be taking a walk down the street and then I can feel something negative go. It's a different energy that you feel through your body. Okay. Um, it's more dense, I guess it would be the word. Not a great feeling, but I'm sure many of you have felt this and maybe you just didn't know what you were feeling, but with that comes that gut instinct that, or in here in your chest or in your belly, that instinct of get out of here, don't go that way, go another way. That is that negative. Your soul is telling you stay away from that negativity, right? So that's one. Did I ever feel it? Yes, I can walk into any house, whether it's new or old, and I can tell you if there's a spirit there. Now, they're not always all, negative entities. I feel people's loved ones that have passed. I can feel that they're, just there to say hello and to keep an eye on them. But yes, I do feel their energy. It's a bright white light that I can see, and then sometimes they'll form into who they were when they were here on this earth. Um, just like the angels, like I've seen angels in person. I've mentioned that in other videos where the one angel's at the end of my bed. I thought she was a nurse. Another angel, when I had to have hysterectomy, they put me in a room and forgot about me. And an angel came to me and told me to scream out. I had to scream out help. So, I mean, I have seen angels, but I've also seen them in their true form, which is light. So and I know you've seen them too. Everybody has. In the corner of your eye, if you see a flash of light, that's your angel. That's your guardian angel with you, letting you know they're there. But I see them in like a swirly light, like they come down, like picture like the way a candle goes like this, flickers. Well, I'll see it, but in a much larger perspective. So I'll see like the white light and it'll go like this. And I just say hello. Sometimes it's an archangel, sometimes it's one of my guides. Um, so yeah, I see them and I can see them in people's houses too. Uh, Another time in this, and the other question was, oh yes, in a store, I have seen both negative and positive in certain stores. So I wouldn't say it's in newer stores, although sometimes if negative person was in there that carried that negative energy, sometimes you see like I could see a residual of it, if you know what I'm saying. But it's just there and it goes. And I usually breathe light to that energy through my breath. I was doing my eyes and my breath since I was a teenager. Something just told me use your eyes and breath. So, which I'm going to do a video on how I knew I was a healer and how it led me to Reiki 20 something years later. And I've learned a lot. I had learned names to things I was already doing as a teenager and in my 20s and 30s before I ever even knew about Reiki. But so let me make sure I answered this question. Can you feel negative energy or spirits when you go into someone's house or in the stores? Yes. So yes. So and a lot of times in the older houses like that were built in the 1700s, 1600s, 1800s, um, yeah, they're there. And I've learned later on that it's called like a residual. They do the same motion over and over, kind of like they're stuck. And it always made me want to go back and say, go to the light, and try to guide them, to cross over and let them know it's not scary. There's nothing to be afraid of. And everybody's accepted into heaven. Even if you did bad things, you're going to heaven. There's just different little parts that you go through, but it's all blissful. It's all love. You feel the love and light. Um, oh, and also, what was it like you mentioned? Okay. Um, do you always see spirits in a regular form? And do you ever ghosts, see light, ghostly white spirits like on TV? So for me, I see the spirit like you're seeing me right now. So most of the time I see the whole person of who they were when they were here on this earth, when they lived here. Sometimes I will see like a smoky form, and then it forms into the person. Other times, I feel their energy and they'll tell me who they are. So it happens all different ways. I always think that it's how the spirit perceives my comfortability of seeing them. So, or they're not comfortable with me seeing them. So I'm not quite sure about that. But yeah, I don't know why, but it comes all different things. I mean, I had a person come through to me that didn't want to show me them, but told me who they were, and I could feel them. Like I felt their energy, and I felt it was good energy, and they had a message for somebody, and I gave that message. But so all different times they'll either show me themselves. A lot of times, my own husband will come to me, and he won't show me himself. And I think it's because, well, I probably would, but I think it's because he thinks I'm going to break down. And when he used to come to me, I would lay in bed for like for weeks. I didn't want to get out of bed. I would get out and take the kids to school and go pick them up and go home to bed. I wouldn't even go to work. So I think that's why he doesn't come in form, but he comes where I can feel him or I'll smell his cologne. It'll be something. And then I tell him now, I'm 63 now. I tell him now, you can do your form. I'm not going to stay in bed and act all depressed and stuff. Just, I want to see you. So sometimes he does. But they have jobs to do. They do things up there too. But they are around us all the time too. They always do, like, I call it a check-in. They come, check around the house, check the children, check check everybody out. And then they go back and, float around doing whatever they're doing. But so yes, I can see them in all different ways. Um, do I ever see angels with light colors? Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. So this is part of the same question, just so everybody knows. So yes. So when I get so yes, so different angels do, well, some have the same colors entwined with another color. So when I see some angels, like I'm starting to learn other names to have more angels coming through, besides my guides and my archangels, because I have like three archangels that are pretty much with me always. And then I have guides that are with me always. And then I have newer ones coming in. And I believe that it's um, because of certain healing that needs to be done, because they all do certain healing. They're all healing angels. Um, and they'll show me their color, and then they try to tell me their name. Sometimes their names are just something that I'm like, what? And then I'll say the name, and then they'll repeat it totally different than what I said. And I'm like, so sometimes I can't even understand their names, and I try to write it out, but I'm not one of those, I forget what you call them, people that can write that. I haven't learned that. And I don't know if it's something you can learn or you're just naturally born with it, because everything else I have, I was just born with it. I didn't have a teacher to teach me any of this. Um, I've just learned what was happening to me, words to what that was. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, so they do come with different lights. Some have like a pink, like the one that I just recently started seeing has like, I want to say that was Jofio, has like a pink light with a white. And then sometimes she has like a wispy, um, like a turquoise. And it's like a wispy light. It's really pretty. I mean, it's real pretty. But yes, so yes, they do come in different light colors. Um, you mentioned you worked in a hospital. How did you cope with your gifts? Okay, so this person says, you mentioned that you have worked in a hospital. Oh my, how did you cope with your gifts working there? Well, it wasn't an easy task. I mean, I chose the medical field. I think that had to do with because I was born a healer and wanting to heal. Having that intuition of just knowing. And I chose that field, and yes, boy, oh boy, um, it could be a little harsh, right? So, let me think. There were so many. So, okay, here's an example. So I'm sitting at my desk, I'm putting doctor's orders in, and here's the other nurse, and the monitors were behind me, and I used to have to keep an eye on the monitors. They're heart monitors. I always worked cardiac, heart and lung was my thing. So I had to keep an eye on the monitors too. So I'm putting some doctor's orders in, and all of a sudden there was a person behind me. So I turned to look. Now, you remember, they do look like people to me, but I knew it was a spirit because I could feel the energy. It's a different type of energy, which I had to learn as I got older. But it's a different type of energy, so you know that it's a spirit and not actually a real person, alive. uh, you know, like the nurse sitting next to me. So I turned and he says to me, he points to his room on the monitor and he says, I'm going to code. I'm going to have a massive heart attack. Can you get me help? I need help. And then he just dissipated. He was gone. So I said to the nurse, Deb, we need to call a code on this room here. I'm pointing at the monitor to the room. She goes, we can't call a code until the alarm goes off. I said, oh, well, he just was standing here. He told me he's going to have a massive heart attack and he wants help. He's asking for help. So no longer did I just got done saying those words and boom, the monitor goes off. I get up. She goes, call the code now. So I call the code. He did survive. And, after all the chaos, right, and everybody who's in the room, who's doing what, and everything, we come back and everybody's situated. He's doing well. She goes, how the hell did you know that was going to go off? I said, I told you I saw the spirit. Excuse me. I saw a spirit, and he told me. She goes, how do you do this? And I said, I don't know. It's just something I was born with. Another time, oh, that was a big one. I had to run down to the morgue because the porters, the people that take the bodies, once you're what we call bag and tag, kind of not nice to say that stuff, but that's the way it goes. That's just the way it is in the hospital. So they forgot the paperwork that had to go to the morgue with that person's body. So I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll just run down and bring it. Normally I take the stairs, but they were working on the stairs. So I had to go into the elevator. But I always used to run up and downstairs for the exercise. So I get on the elevator, and all of a sudden I feel that feeling. And I kind of do the side eye because there was nobody in the elevator, and all of a sudden she appeared. And I do the side eye, and she was talking to me, saying how sorry she was, this and that, and everything. So I said, you know, I just told her, go to the light. Jesus loves you. It doesn't matter what you did. Go to the light. We know you're sorry. Just go to the light. I just wanted her gone. There was blood all over her. It was kind of gruesome. So I just wanted her go to the light. Go be at peace, right? So I send her to the light. She does go, and she says again, I'm sorry. And then she said, thank you. Something like that on those words. And I just was like, the door opened and I ran to the morgue. And usually I just ring the thing once. I won't go in the morgue because, well, I think you all know why. And he came out and I told him what happened. He goes, oh my God. He goes, no wonder why you don't like, I go, no, and shut the door. And I threw the papers at him because I didn't want nobody coming at me. It's like they see this light and they're like, oh, she can see us. Let's go talk to her. So, you can have like quite a few of them. But, I went back in the elevator praying she wasn't going to be there, and she wasn't. So I was like, I felt this relief, like, oh, good. She went to the light. Thank you, Jesus. So that was another one. I mean, there were so many. There was in another hospital I worked at, they had shut this one floor down. So it was only really used for like overflow. So, like, say we had a bad flu and pneumonia, and we were filled with between the operating, the heart and lung floors, the ICU, the medical ICU, and the surgical ICU. That one floor from the other floors, the triage and all that stuff, would be the overflow room. So that was mostly always empty, but you had to cut through there to bring paperwork for the patient you sent to their floor. That was creepy because there wasn't always nice spirits in there. And this one girl, we used to go together because she used to be so scared. She used to like hold on to me. I'm like, don't do this and don't think fear. Think, I'm not afraid and they will not come near us. And she just had this fear. And then this one voice came out of the room and said, get out. Well, she screamed. I freaked too. And we both went running, barrel assing through the doors that open, to go to the next unit. That was funny, but we had to go back that way. That was the only way to get back to our floor. So I said to her, why don't you stay here for a little while? I'd rather go by myself than have you and your fear drag out something like that. So I talked to her. I said, take a couple of breaths. I said, just don't have fear. There's no reason for fear. We went back and then it appeared to us. She screamed. I told him, go to the light. God loves you. Just go to the light and stop bothering people when they're working here. They're working here to help people. Go to the light. It doesn't matter what you did here, good or bad. God loves you. Go to the light. Rest in peace. Be gone. And then I walked away. He didn't say anything after that. And I didn't see him. Went to the other elevator that brought us to our floor. So, yes, those things, I mean, different hospitals, different things. Even just visiting somebody in the hospital, I would see, somebody walking, but I knew they weren't alive. So yeah, I see that stuff all the time. In regular stores, I'm trying to think just with the energies. I don't remember anything happening except for when I was young and I saw the people's auras and, I thought they were rainbows around their head and how beautiful they were. I talked about that in another video. So you can go back and check that one out too. Where my mom would go, no, no, don't point at people. So yeah, so that's pretty much, I think I answered everybody at the hospital. How do I see all ghosts? Are they white spirits? And I did answer that. And I can tell you one more thing about the darkness. So I was a teenager. Now, if you didn't watch my videos about how my gift started, I was 4 or 5 years old, mainly 4 when it started, 5 when it got even more, and gradually got more and more intense as I got older. But we didn't go to church, until I met Jesus, and it was 2 years after that when my mom took us and we were baptized Methodist, and we became Methodist. So now when we moved down to the Jersey Shore, I was a teenager, I think I was 8th grade when we started there. So I was a teenager. So, I didn't get to go to church too much, but I always felt very connected to Jesus because he came to me when I was 7, right? So I always felt that deep connection. I never felt fearful. I always felt protected. And one night I was sleeping, and this is creepy, guys. So I was sleeping, a teenager, just as innocently sleeping in my room, in my bed. And I woke up and I see these brown hoods, little short, maybe 3, 4 feet tall, all around my bed. And they're wanting me to rebuke Jesus. And I said no. And I was so scared. And I couldn't move. It was like they had me welted down onto the bed, like with cuffs or something. I could not move my arms, my feet, my legs, or my head except for like this. And every time I said no, they would welt me. I had these big, big, long welts all over my body, my back, my chest, my belly, my legs, in front of my legs, behind my legs, up and down my back, in places where I couldn't reach. And back then I used to bite my nails. I think because I had a lot of energy, right? So I used to bite them. And I couldn't scratch myself, especially in the spots where they were in the back. Um, so anyway, I'm stuck there with them every time they said that. I said no. And then all of a sudden I look up to the corner of my room on the right, the right hand corner of my room. There's this I see this white and red ball, and then next to that is this blue and white ball, and they're coming in through that corner. And as they came in, their balls, one became Jesus and one became Mary. Now that was the first time that I met Mary, Mother Mary. And then them landing there in the room, those things dissipated, like they went up in like dust, like if they were burnt. And when you light a fire in the fireplace and you see the soot, well, that's what I watched. And then I was tossed out of my bed. I get up, now I'm blind. I can't see. So I want to get out of that room, right? Figure let Mary and Jesus do what they have to do in that room. Because I really wasn't sure if there was any of those gremlin looking things there. And I'm trying to get down the hallway, but I put the light on, but I couldn't see. So I'm feeling my way down to my parents' room. And I'm going, Ma, wait, I get in my mom's bedroom. I go, Mom, wake up. Wake up, Mom. This is terrible, Mom. Wake up. She wakes up and she puts the light on, but I can't see the light. I go, Mom, put the light on. She goes, the light is on. I go, Mom, I can't see. I'm like blind. I said, these things were in my room. Look what they did to me. And I showed her my whole body, and she looks up my back. She goes, did you scratch yourself? I said, how would I reach my back like that, Ma? And look, I have no nails. How would I get this? I mean, they were deep welts. Like I thought I was scarred for the rest of my life. And my mother's going, oh my God, oh my God. As she's saying, oh my God, and I'm going, oh my God, and describing what happened to me, all of a sudden, one by one, they all closed up. Every single one of them closed up and dissipated. My mother looks at my back, they're gone. Looks down my back of my leg. Everywhere I had them, all over my chest, my belt, they're all gone. So I said, Ma, come back in my room with me, because I told her about the 2 balls of light and how it was Jesus and Mary. So she goes, I don't know if I want to go. And she kind of got scared. I don't blame her. So she goes down the hall unwillingly, but trying to protect her kid too. And we go and we peek in my room, and it's all clear. Like there's nothing there. So we put on the light, and everything was like normal, right? So I said, Mom, I don't know if I want to sleep in here. She goes, well, if Jesus and Mary were here, they're gone, right? And I go, what do you mean, right? I go, well, yeah. I said, when they showed, and I told her what I saw, like a pop, 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 like phew, like that. So I was like, all right, I'll just keep the light on. So I was probably up for a good hour, and mainly because I was saying, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Mary. So that was one thing that did happen to me personally with the dark entities. Um, Later on, it was a few years after that, I met a lady, and she told me because the light in me shines so bright, that attracts the negative entities because they don't want us to, and because I was a healer and I had these gifts, that I was going to be attacked, and to just be prepared and always know that I'm protected. And I was like, so this is going to happen again? She goes, no, I don't know that. I'm saying it could. And it can come in different forms through a person, that kind of stuff. Someone at your job, someone in your classroom, a friend will betray you, and certain kind of negative things. It's going to be like attacking you because you have such a strong, bright light. And she goes, I just want you to be aware of it because I'm not sure anybody's telling you what's going on. And I said, no, I'm not learning anything except, that I feel weird. I felt like I was a weird person. And she assured me I was not weird, that I was a gifted child of God, and to embrace it and not to fear it, and don't live in fear. And the one thing she said is always remember Jesus and Mary, what they came and did for you so that you can live fearless. So from that point on, I always did live fearless. I mean, I've had something dark try, and I said, get out. I scared it away. And that's what you can do too. So you can't live in fear, and those old beliefs of the devil and the demons, and just don't believe it. Just say, I know you're not real. God's kingdom is my kingdom. I am God, God is me. And they're going to leave because they know they're not going to get through to you. Just like they couldn't get through to that little teenager, me, at that time. There was no way I was going to rebuke Jesus. I was like, no. And it didn't matter how painful that was. I mean, it was painful, but I wasn't going to do it. Um, so I hope I answered all your questions. If you have any more questions, again, you can email me. It's down in the bio on my channel here. So, but I'll repeat it again. It's Nancy Reiki Healer at gmail.com. I do go on and check as often as I can. So, but yes, if you don't feel comfortable asking the questions like these few people did, that's fine. Emails are fine. Um, yeah, so I hope you enjoyed listening to this and having me share and answer these questions. And I wish you all a beautiful day. I send you so many blessings, so much love from my heart and soul, and healing to everybody. And I hope you feel this. I say this with peace, love. I hope you feel that. Namaste. Bye bye, everybody. Until next time. And don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and share. Bye bye. Mwah. I love you all.